Hello, my name is James, and welcome to Mirror Domains. Today I'm going to be talking about my worst movies of the year for 2016. Yes, these are the movies that I would say are the absolute bottom of the trash pile movies that you should not even waste your time seeing at all. I'm going to try to be a little bit more animated with my disgust of how these movies turned out. Alright, let's start off with the obvious thing, the elephant in the room. Movies that I never bothered to see either because of bad reviews, bad press, or I just flat out hated the premise. And that's Assassin's Creed. I never bothered to see it. I don't want to see it now after everybody's trashed it. I'll watch it when it's on one of those streaming sites. Mechanic, Resurrection, we know that what kind of quality this movie was going to be, so I said, do I really want to waste my time watching it? No. Kevin Smith, you burned me before, and I'm not going to let you burn me again. I hated everything about the trailer for Yoga Hosers. I'm not going to watch your movie. Ever. I'm not going to stop the rest of you from watching it. I'm not your papa, but if you want to hurt yourself, okay. All right. Now, then, there are movies that I had to turn off because I just couldn't finish watching them. And if I couldn't finish watching them, they don't get on my list, but you should be noting of them. And that's Alice Through the Looking Glass. I put it on, and I got maybe 25 minutes into this, and I'm like, I hate this. This is awful. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to rag on it too much. Okay, and then there are ones where they didn't come out in the theater, but they were on streaming sites, and I ended up watching them. They're horrible movies. Kickboxer Vengeance, I gave a 2 out of 10. Viral, I gave a 3 out of 10. They're just not worth it at all. And then, finally, before we get to the list, there are 2 movies I want to talk about. These are movies that I had hopes for. I wanted them to be good, but they let me down. And that's Loving, which is a film that should have been better because they got some good acting out of it at times, but the story overall, I know it's supposed to be an important story, but it's just, you're watching 2 people put their hand into the fire once, twice, 3 times, and you're like, I'm done watching these people. I know they did something that helped the cause, and I didn't want to watch it anymore. It was so boring and dull. All right, and the other one is 31, a Rob Zombie movie, which I'm sort of hit and miss with Rob Zombie. And I like the premise of this, like a bunch of people are trying to survive this warehouse with a bunch of killers after them. And I thought it would be good, but the dialogue is so awful at times. You can tell it was written by Rob Zombie. Real letdown. All right, so let's get back to my my top 10 list here, and these are the actual top 10. These scored 5 or less. 5 is right in the middle. It's like, meh, see it or don't see it. It's your call. And this is kind of a bummer because I really like the first one of this. But number 10 is Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Man, this was a real stinker of a movie. And as I said, I had hopes for it because I really enjoyed the first one. I did. And this one was a huge letdown. It was boring. And it's kind of like, how did that happen? All right. Number 9, Independence Day Resurgence. Now, this will end up on a lot of people's lists because of the just cartoonish nature of it. And it's a real letdown because, yes, the first one is cartoonish too, but it had some menace. You felt the aliens were a threat. And this one, it just looked like a big CGI mess of this big thing landing on the planet, and you're just like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And that's some real bad acting. All right, that's it. Number 9, Independence Day Resurgence. Number 8, a comedy. And I was hoping this one would be better, but it's not. It's Central Intelligence. It's ridiculous. Okay, I get it. It's comedy and it's supposed to be, breaking the laws of nature and it's supposed to be ridiculous, but it's a comedy and I'm not laughing. In fact, this is boring. Why? No. I was a huge miss. Central Intelligence. Number 8. Number 7. I had hopes for this, actually. I like the marketing campaign for this because they originally billed this movie as The Woods, and then they changed it to Blair Witch, and it didn't hit the mark. It was a retread, it was a rehash, and it sort of tried to tell you that there's a witch, and in a way, you never really got a good look at it, and it's not the way that it was described in the first movie, which was like this hairy kind of woman, floating woman, and it didn't pay off. It didn't pay off at all. Yeah, I can't recommend it. The Blair Witch, awful. All right, number 6, The Purge election year, which is a bummer for me because I like the second one, and I had an appreciation for the first one, but this one just dragged and it had this ridiculous premise with this group of girls that wanted to steal candy bars. Didn't work for me. Purge election year, number 6. Number 5, I'm sorry, Zac Efron, this is your first entry on my list, and it's Neighbors 2, which is a real bummer because, as I said many times before, I liked the first one. This one just felt mean-spirited. A lot of the jokes for me didn't hit the mark, and it was just about 3/4 of the way through, and I was like, I want to get out of here. I want to leave. This is dumb. I'm out. And I didn't. I stayed. I stuck it through, and I paid the price for it. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Okay. Number 3. This was a Netflix experience, and I probably shouldn't have put it on this because it didn't get into the theaters, but it is one of the worst movies of the year, and that's Cell with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, and it's a bummer. I'm saying that a lot during this. It's a bummer, man, and it is, because it has an interesting premise of, the cell phones jambling up your brain. Cool, I like that. And for the first bit, I bought into it. I liked it, and I like to see Stacy Keach in a movie. But this movie ends so badly, and it just goes downhill about halfway through. You get to a point where you're like, I've had enough. Number 3. This one is a bit of a surprise because, unlike some people, I liked the beginning of this movie and hated the end. Most people hated the beginning and liked the end, but I can't support it. It's Batman the Killing Joke, and I don't want a backstory to the Joker. I don't want to know that he had a family, that he had a kid, and he's trying to do all of this bad stuff to make ends meet. I don't want to hear that story. And this movie tried to give me that story, and it's so poorly executed, and the ending is just with some joke with a flashlight, and I know it's supposed to be edgy, but it wasn't edgy to me. It was just lame. Wow, am I going to offend people with that? Probably. But it's not going to be as offensive as the number 2 pick for me, and that's Dirty Grandpa. Wow. Oh my God. I know that Robert De Niro has been mailing in a few performances here and there, but man, this one is just awful. And it's the whole premise. It's mean-spirited, and I was like, not laughing at some of the jokes. Like, some of the jokes that are like dirty and it's supposed to be dirty, and you're like, that's kind of funny. No, not with this. It's kind of like dirty. And you're like, ugh. I need to wash my hands. This is gross. And it's just, I don't want to see Robert De Niro rumbling out on the big screen. I don't. All right, that's it. That's all I got to say. And the worst movie of the year, sadly, once again, it's a movie that started off good. It hooked me. I really wanted this movie to work. And that's The Fifth Wave. Because I bought into Chloe Grace Moretz and this kind of apocalypse scenario, and I wanted to follow her. But then she meets a boy in the woods, and the boy is kind of like got the boyish charms to him. Like, it goes into the grotesque teen love, and it's just, awful. It's one of the worst experiences I had in a theater this year. And it was kind of like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to watch, I definitely don't want to see that. And then it's kind of like trying to triumph that love will always overcome evil in the end. Oh, what a stinker. The Fifth Wave. Man, worst movie of the year. Worst movie. All right, that's it. That is my worst list of 2016. If you've liked what you've seen, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Leave some comments. Tell me that my opinion sucks. Try to convince me that Batman Killing Joke is okay. Try to convince me, that there are some redeeming qualities to Independence Day Resurgence. Like, tell me that it's got good special effects or something. All right, that's it. I'm out of here.